everyone. This is Mark Gossman. Been a little while since I've been around on YouTube, and this was trying to see what happens. Okay, I've been reading up on this streaming business, so I'm trying different things out. Kind of interesting how you can do things, and I think it's kind of cool. I know I don't have any viewers right now, so it's been a long time since I streamed. I've been so busy, but I'm in learning mode for learning how to stream. So hopefully this video will be viewed by at least one person after it's posted. It should be streamed right now. Uh, but this is a picture of my Yosemite picture. Um, I've converted it into an oil painting filter, and I actually like the picture. Came out really nice. The waterfall is beautiful over there in Half Dome distance, trees, whatnot. But I love Yosemite. Everybody loves Yosemite. Uh-oh. Hear that? Animals out there. There's animals out there. I'm just trying different sound effects so I can see how this stuff works and go from there. Wow. I still only have 0 viewers, but oh well. What are you gonna do? You know, you live and learn. If I posted it on Facebook, it probably would pick up some views. Um, so we're just testing this out and seeing how it works, and kind of cool. I like it. I'm using this Streamlabs OBS version 11.14. So family should be home shortly. So I thought I'd do a quick video and talk about a few things. I went and had a problem with my Ford Ranger, and the shifter was not working properly on the dash. So the little line that points to the park or drive or neutral wasn't lining up with the letters properly. So I took it into Ford, and they looked at it, and they said, "Oh, this needs to be replaced." So I said, "Great, super. I need to get that fixed." So we had the job done, and they did the job, and I came back to pick up the truck. I paid the bill, and then I got in my truck, and I noticed that the cab light and the dashboard lights were all messed up. Either they weren't working at all, or they were partially illuminating the dash and the AC unit panel area. So the next day, I went back to suggest that and to tell them about that, and they offered not to charge me for diagnosing, being that I spent quite a bit of money the day before, and that was great. And so they they called me back and said, "Oh yeah, your cab light is burnt out, and you need to change out your like bulb gauge. It's like a circuit board of your dash. They needed to redo that, and they quoted me like $900 plus tax initially on the phone. And whenever I get quoted for an auto part that is 1,000 or more, I have to be I always have to be careful about how I'm going to approach that. So I was pretty convinced that that was the price, and so when I got the car back after their diagnosis, I told them I needed some time to, find out whether I was going to do it or not. And being that they were quoting me $1,000, I was kind of like, okay, is this something I need to do now, or can I live without the lights and whatnot? And at nighttime, it is nice to have your dashboard illuminated so you can see things a little better. It's not critical, but I like my 2008 Ford Ranger quite a bit. I've had it for a long time. Um, I've only had one major issue in the past. It was a warranty fix that took forever to fix. The Ford dealership, actually dealerships in general, I've not been a fan of completely. They're great to go to when nobody else knows how to fix something on the car. So if you have a Honda and there's something on the Honda nobody can fix, you take it to the Honda. if you have something in the Ranger that nobody can fix. But in Fresno, there's a few places I go to. Like for AC, I go to AirTech, and then there's another place for electrical. But right now, being that they had worked on changing out a part that required the dashboard to be opened, I figured, you know, okay, I might have to pay $1,000. So I get back in the truck and I drive back home, and I noticed my lights are working. I I was playing around with my cab light and checking things out, and I noticed the cab light went back on, and I was like, "Hey, wait a minute! This guy just told me this bulb was burnt out and it needed to be replaced. It was a $35 part, and told me that the whole dash light needed to be replaced, and yet the dash light was actually working again." So I was like, "Okay, does that mean they didn't do a thorough check? What does that mean?" So I called him back and I said, "What's the price for the part to replace the computer motherboard? I'm going to call it a motherboard type thing for the lights." And they said, "Well, it's like $400 plus we'll charge you $115 an hour to install it. So it'd be 2 hours work." So it was like 600. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, "Hey, wait a minute." The person I was talking to, I was like, "Hey, that's $600. How come you're quoting me 900 and something dollars?" Oh, and she looked at her computer and was like, "I don't know. It's just showing me the balance of $900." So I was like, "Okay, whatever." I told her, "Well, I can't. That's a big difference." And I said, "Well, I'm going to have to look into this. Can I talk to a mechanic about this issue?" And so she said, "Well, he's probably busy, but let me go back there and talk to him." So instead of her bringing a mechanic out to talk to me for 5 minutes so that I can get my story across better and hopefully let the mechanic know what's going on. Um, because when you tell one person to relay a story to another person, sometimes you don't know exactly what they're saying, and you don't know if your point is getting across, or the symptoms that you're trying to describe are getting across properly. And so a lot of times, that kind of makes it difficult. So I would say that that would be a problem. That'd be like warning sign. And so then I told the lady, "Well, when you misquote me on a repair job, it kind of makes me nervous because then I don't know if you're giving me the right prices for other jobs." So I said, "This is really important that we get this quote done properly, being that we're dealing with something that's $600 to $1,000 possibly, and just trying to get the story straight. Plus, I need to be able to relay this information to the mechanic." So it was like, oh, hold on. Boom. It was like a shot across my bow. It was like, okay, how am I going to approach this problem? And so I got the call from Ford dealership from a salesman, because I accidentally gave a salesman my number. Uh, so he kept calling, and I asked him and said, "Hey, I got this problem. I got the truck fixed for one problem, and they did great on that job. But when I got the truck back, the lighting issue was really, all over the place. And they diagnosed it, but told me that it was all burnt out and not good and had to be replaced. But yet, I noticed that when my wife had given me back the truck, that the light in the cab was not working again. So I was like, oh, shoot. And I couldn't figure out, okay, is it going to come back on or what? And so I take my finger and I click a couple thuds on the little light bulb in the cab, and it comes back on. And I was like, that's got to be a short. It's got to be a pinched wire somewhere. And that's the very thing they told me that it wasn't. Uh, so I was like, okay, how am I going to deal with this? So I'm going to have to call Ford back again. I'm going to have to try to contact their mechanic and try to verbally explain what the symptoms are. So if anybody has a Ford Ranger and ever encountered electrical issues, I have 100,000 miles plus on my truck, and I love my truck. So if anybody has ever had that kind of issue, chime in on my comments section on YouTube and let me know. It'd be interesting to see if other people have had that same problem. Do you trust diagnosis when you take your car in? You know, when you take your car in and say, hey, I got this kind of problem, that kind of problem, who do you talk to? You know, I always feel that the cashier isn't the best person to talk to when you're describing your symptoms. I tend to think that sometimes it's better to try to get the mechanic involved under certain situations. Now, that doesn't apply for all situations. Like my first repair was to fix the gear shifter thing, and that one I perfectly understood what they were going to do. It was okay. We got to change out this part, and I knew that it was broken because I could see the effects of it. Boom, end of story. I had no problem. But when you have electrical issues, and the electrical issues are showing them one thing, and you're seeing another, and you're not getting a resolution to it other than that you're going to have to replace the whole part, even though the light is working intermittently. You know, if it works intermittently, that means the bulbs aren't broken. It just means there's a short somewhere. And that was exactly what we weren't matching up our stories. So I don't know. Well, I'm going to cut this little video short, and let me see if I can get this done correctly here. Um, let's see if all right. Let's see what we could do. Let's get another music time here. And let's go ahead and play. All right, guys. You guys have fun, and I'll talk to you later. I'm going to be doing these videos a little bit more and more, I think, and learn more about it. So you guys hang in there and have a good day.